อะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธภะคะวะพุทธังภะคะวันตังอภิวาเทมิสวากาโตภะคะวะตาธัมโมธัมมังนัมมัสสามิสุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนะมามิอันธัมเมียงพุทธัสสะภะคะวะโตบุปภาคณมการังกโรมาเสนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะ Good evening, everybody. It's good to be here again. And every time I come here, I really feel like home, especially sitting so close to the throne of Lama Kangchen. It's always been a blessing for me to be around his presence. And to be honest, this is the first time I sit really this high. And I hope I don't break anything because I'm much bigger than the owner of this throne. So I will make these sessions today in three main parts. The first part will be about the Dhammakaya method of meditation and will be followed by the guided meditation. And what I would like to share afterward will be the first sutras of the Buddha in Pali, the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra, which translates as the Wheel of the Dhamma. For me, this is very important sutra because it's basically the master plan of all the Dhamma. Everything that Buddha was talking about is the elaboration of these sutras. This is basically the condensed version of how to reach enlightenment. And regardless of the traditions, schools, there is no debate on the first teaching of the Buddha. And that's why this is what both Lama Kangchen and my master would like to see, how all the Sangha unite at once, as one. And that unity will come down to that essence of the Buddha's teachings that lies in the first sutras. And of course, after I explain about the sutras, I will go down to the translation, and hopefully I will make it in time. And then we will end up to do the chant together. But I know the Pali may not be something they're used to. I will show it on the screen with subtitle. Try your best. In Thailand, this sutras has been, in the Dhammakaya temple in Thailand, we have been doing it continuously for the last 7 years, I think. We have already, and everybody who do it will submit the numbers of rounds of the chanting to the temple. And we have already accumulated up to 7,300 million rounds. Of course, my abbot made a target of 10,000, so it's still a long shot. He wants the 10,000 to be reached very soon. It's only a couple billion, so not a lot. So we'll go to that later, and it will be honored to have all of you as a part of that rounds of chantings, a part of that 10 billion. So, for the Dhammakaya method of meditations, it was discovered by my great master, Brahmakonte Muni. So, he was born in Suphanburi province, and it was around roughly, he passed away in 1959, so he lives about 74 years. So, what main discovery of him would be the essence, which is actually in the first sutra, the concept of the middle way. We have learned probably before that the middle way usually refer to the lifestyle that are too extreme in sensual pleasure, at the same time to self-modification, the middle part of the balance. But he also discovered that there's a certain point in the body that once the mind is placed at the right mode, it will open the pathway in the middle of ourselves. And each will go in layers after layers and reach the ultimate body, which is still called the Dhammakaya. Dhammakaya, which is translated as the body of the Dhamma or the body of enlightenment. It's actually one thing that we have in common. Everyone who comes to be born in this world has the original body in it. The way to obtain it was lost. In Theravada, we actually have less mention of the Dhammakaya, less than in Mahayana and even Tibetan tradition as well. And that's why the discovery of this is something that we can also share in common and how to reach the essence of the Buddha through the practice of meditation. There is even a quote in our text, in the Theravada traditions, that when you see the Dhamma, you see me, the quote of the Buddha, which means when you attain, you see the Dhamma inside, you see the Buddha. And there was a number of the Buddha statues that will see that like a monk open the chest and see the Buddha inside. Of course, it was usually think of it as philosophical, but with our understanding from our great master, because they try to exhibit the nature of the Buddha within ourselves. So that's why what my master explained, the Dhammakaya body, which is the body of Buddha, is our original body before karma redesigned to be what we have today. Bald, fat. But that's because the karma reshapes us. When we talk about in the text that there are 32 characteristics of the Buddha, how it looked like, it's actually the perfect body. And we have that body. We can attain it. So that is what his discovery, and that's become what the Dhammakaya Temple in Thailand has been trying to explain and to reach out, though, that anybody can reach that state of Buddhahood simply by closing their eyes. So, with this essence of the enlightened body that he was discovered, it was actually something that focused on the 7 bases of the mind. Through his discovery, there were 7 bases when the mind going back to ourself. Every single day, the mind goes back within our body. Go to sleep at the 7 base. When we wake up, it goes out from here. When we die, it goes out from 7 days and move to the next realm. When we're born, it goes to the father 7 base. First, go to the mother 7 base. So before going to the fetus. So that's what his explanation. So the part of the mind will focus on the 7 bases, starting from the nostril as the first base. Right side for men, left side for women. So, and then afterward, move the attention to the corners of the eyes, right side for men, left side for women. Then move the attention to the center of the head, around the base of the skull, around the same level as your eyes, but right in the middle of the head. So that will be the 3rd base. The 4th base will come down to the center of the head, around the roof of mouth, And then down to the 5th base, which is around the Adam's apple level, right in the middle of the throat. And then move down to the 6th base, the middle of your body at the same level as the navel. And then move up 2 fingers. So if you find the cross-section of your body at the navel level, 2 fingers width above it is the 7th base. And from the 7th base, stillness of the mind will allow it to open the gateway to deeper and deeper layers. My great master will explain these techniques by focusing on visualization of a crystal sphere or crystal ball, or something like a small, bright, shining sun, as the image of the mind. So you can be aware of where your mind is and keep it there. At the same time, you may repeat the mantras, Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang, in your mind. No need to say it out loud. Feel that the sound of Samma Arahang coming from the crystal sphere as you move in from the 1st base 3 times, 2nd base 3 times, 3rd base 3 times, down all the way to the 7th base. And then reverse to the 1st base. You can do this a few rounds or as many times as you like, but eventually allow it to come back and sit still at the 7th base. And that's where we can leave it a bit longer. So this is general, the techniques of the Dhammakaya method of meditation. For me, the extra tips of meditation that make us feel more comfortable and happier in meditation, and this is from my master and also from my own experience. Many times when we meditate, we try to force the mind quiet. And if you have been practicing meditation and feel that after 15 to 20 minutes, it feels very hard, frustrated, agitated, like you have to kind of push things down in order to stay there, that's usually because we treat our thought as enemy or try to push thoughts away. Imagine if you sit back in your house, enjoy your day, take it easy, tranquilo. And there are people passing by in front of your house, right? But if you, okay, I noticed this guy, that guy, this, Bella. But I didn't really go out there, I'm just sitting here. Eventually, I don't notice them. But if I go out of my house and try to stop everybody from passing, then eventually I get really upset. I get really frustrated because there'll be always people coming by. That is usually how we deal with thoughts, by trying to force it quiet. And if we cannot stop thinking with the eyes open, there is nothing magical, just do this and it's going to stop. It doesn't work that way. And therefore, regardless of how many times you're distracted, how many times you have thoughts, keep coming back to the beginning point. That's all it is. There are two wheels. The meditation techniques are a vehicle. The mind is a passenger. The vehicle has two wheels, awareness and comfort. These wheels must go together. If you have only one wheel, it keeps going in circle. Too much comfort, too much awareness become tense. So these two wheels are actually keep the journey forward. So anytime you feel distracted, turn your back, turn attention back, first base, second base, third base to the 7th base. And eventually you will notice your distraction of thought less and less. Okay? So that is actually what I really like to explain. And the other part would be take your time. Don't rush. Our mind will need some moment, some duration to take it down. My master kept saying that the hardest part of meditation is to wait, because we don't like to wait. Pronto. We just don't like to wait. We just want something to happen right away. And the mind doesn't really work that way. It takes some time to let everything settle down to the bottom. So as a result of that, if you can actually realize you got distraction, thoughts, that means you are mindful. It's a good thing. Because in order for you to realize you are sitting here and notice this thought, you are still mindful, you are present. Otherwise you will get lost in your thought. So you come back to the beginning point. So without taking too much time of that, let's get down to do it. Start from adjusting your sitting posture. Adjust your sitting posture. Place your hands comfortably on your lap without any tension at your elbows or your shoulders. Slowly bring your attention back to be with your body senses. As you are relaxing, every single part of your entire body. Allow the eyes to close very gently in a way that there is no tension at the corners of your eyes, around the eyeballs. After you feel the eyes close gently, take your time to relax every muscle from the top of your head down to your toes, especially around your facial muscles, from the forehead to your temples, from your eyes to your nose and cheeks. Allow the whole body, from the neck to your hands and your feet. The relaxation part may feel slow. It is, in fact, the way to bring our mind or our attention back here with ourselves. So take your time to adjust the way you are at your seat until you can completely release your body's weight towards the gravity. You may breathe in very deeply and softly a few times to bring your attention back towards your body senses. As you're breathing in very softly, allow your in-breath to go down and touches the turning point in the abdomen. Each time you are breathing out, allow your mind to be relieved from all matters, no matter what they are about. Take your time to relieve your mind from all kinds of worries and concern. Make a feeling that you are just taking your time to rest on a holiday, because from this moment you don't have to do anything, engage with any activities, nor interact with anyone. It's our personal time to rest right here at this place. So breathe in, deeper down, and exhale very long and slow. As your attention returns with you, you may imagine that you are sitting here alone without anybody, as if you are in the middle of an open space where your attention can reach the horizon. You are there, away from people and all matters. From now on, you don't have to care about any request, demands, or duties. It's your time to rest here in this open space. And you can allow your mind to be free. Before the mind comes to be still, it needs to unwind. It needs to to unburden our mind always clinging and holding on to every matter we have come across. As we turn it back here to be with this open space, the mind is relieved from our burdens. Little by little, you feel lighter, hollow, and more spacious inside of you. And that is when the mind is free. The free mind can come to be still with ease. So take your time to relax the whole body and feel your space right here at this very spot. Breathing in and out. In fact, the seventh base of the mind is located at the end of the breath. When we breathe deep down, that feeling relief, peaceful and comfortable you have inside is the location of the seventh base. So as you are freeing up your mind from all matters, both of your body and mind are getting more comfortable. The feeling of being light, spacious, expand. No matter what distractions or thoughts that you have, each time you notice them, there is nothing wrong with you. Human mind is always thinking and wondering. We keep turning it back to this relaxation, to the comfortable body, back to be inside our open space again and again. And eventually, the distraction will slowly fade out. The silence inside will supersede all kinds of distraction. So turn your attention back to yourself to feel your relaxed body, to feel your surrounding space, the calmness here in this special place. Observe the silence with comfort body. As you are more aware of the presence, you may turn your attention to the first base of the mind. It is at the nostril on the right side from men and the left side for women. Let your attention stay at your nostril. Visualize the image of the crystal ball. It can be of any size, can be tiny like a star, glowing like a full moon, or as big as the midday sun. As you like to have it in front of you at your nostrils, and let the sound of the mantra coming from the crystal ball. Samma arahang, samma arahang, samma arahang. And from the first beds, let the crystal ball slowly move up to the second beds at the corner of the eye, right side for men and the left side for women. The bright, clear crystal sphere at the corner of your eye. Let the sound of the mantra coming for you to listen to from the crystal ball. Samma arahang, samma arahang, samma arahang. And from the corner of the eye, the crystal ball moving inward to the middle of your head, around the base of the skull, or the same level with your eyes. It hits right in the middle of your head. The bright, clear crystal ball staying afloat at the third beds, with the mantra repeating Samma arahang, samma arahang, samma arahang. The meaning is absolute purity, which is the goal for our mind to reach. From the third bed, let it come down to the center of the head at the level of the roof of mouth, with the bright, clear crystal sphere. Samma arahang, samma arahang, samma arahang. And from the roof of mouth, let it come down to the middle of the throat at the same level as the Adam's apple. Feel the bright, clear crystal ball floating in that space with the mantra repeating Samma arahang, samma arahang, samma arahang. and let it continue all the way down, as if there is a tunnel for the crystal ball to move down until it reaches the center of the body at the level of your navel. If you cross-section your body from the navel to the back, from the right to the left, at the intersection is the 6 beds. Let the crystal ball staying afloat with the mantra repeating 3 times. Samma Araham, Samma Araham, Samma Araham, until it moves out 2 finger width from that intersection. Let the mantra ringing in your mind from the crystal ball. Listen to the sound of the mantra. Samma Araham, Samma Araham, Samma Araham. And then you may reverse down to the 6th bed at the navel, 5th beds at the throat, 4th beds at the roof of mouth, 3rd beds at the center of the head, at the level of the eyes, the 2nd beds at the corner of the eyes, and down to the nostril. Each time you stay at these beds, let the sound of the mantra echoing in your mind. You may forward and reverse a few times. Eventually, let it come to the complete stillness at the 7 beds. The middle of your abdomen, 2 finger breaths above the level of the navel. This is the most important point, because this is the gateway to the deeper layer, to the inner body. We cannot force our mind through this point. Nonetheless, when the mind comes to complete stillness at the 7 beds, it will eventually fall through. Sometimes it feels like falling down deeper until the Dhamma sphere appears clear and bright. The great master called it the primary magga or path. From there, there'll be more Dhamma spheres and inner bodies until reaching the body of enlightenment, the body of the Buddha, that we have inside. The deeper we go, the bigger the inner body is. What we have within is unlike anything we know in the physical world. When we experience brightness, it can be brighter than the daylight, but the brightness does not cause any pain, does not hurt the eyes. On the other hand, it's very soothing, comforting to be with the light, and the clarity of the body and the sphere is beyond what we experience in the world. Moreover, our inner bodies are bigger than the physical one. The deeper, the bigger it is. And to access this path, there is nothing we have to do. Only leave it to be still here at the 7 beds. Samma arahang, samma arahang, samma arahang. From there, eventually you reach the point where the sound of the mantra eventually fade out into silence. If you feel so still and conscious, you may leave your mind be at that point. When you are distracted, you may restart by turning your attention back to the 7 beds or the first beds and make your way down to the final one. You can forward and reverse as many times as you like. Eventually, it comes to settle at the 7 beds, from the nostril to the corners of the eye, to the center of the head at the level of the eyes, to the center of the head at the level of the roof of mouth, down to the center of the throat, down to the middle part of the body, at the navel level, and to finger width above. This is the path of our mind. Every day, our mind returns here when we go to sleep. When we get up, it goes out from this point and leaves from our senses. When we pass away, our mind will take the journey from 7 beds to the first, to another realm based on the karma. When we are born, our spirit will come through this path of the Father, first to 7, out again to the first, and enter the Mother from the first to 7, and come to the fetus. That the process of being born, this middle path inside is the one and only road that leads us to the body of enlightenment, the body of the Buddha. That body is in the meditation posture. Is unlike the Buddha that we know because it's so precious, bright, crystal clear. And the more that we keep going further, that body turns even brighter and clearer. So keep your mind steadily still with the 7 beds. Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang.
Samma Arahang Samma Arahang Samma Arahang The bright clear crystal ball sing afloat at the 7 beds at the middle of your abdomen. When the mind stays there, it is calm, it is relief, it feels light, weightless, spacious. When the mind is here, is unbound, unwind, and liberated. So let it stay at its home with the bright, clear crystal ball. as your mind comes to rest within your body, slowly bring attention back to your body sensation. Feel your feet, your hands, your legs and feet. Slowly feel the presence of your body. Feeling yourself breathing in all the way down to the center of your body. And breathe out. Breathe in again. Feel your in-breath touches the center. And exhale. Let's keep the attention with the feeling of the breath touches the center. In and out. And you are more aware of your body and getting more comfortable. You may slowly stretch your neck, shoulders and arms and hands. Sabbe Buddha Palapata Pacheka Nanjayam Palang Arahanta Nanjate Senarakan Kanta Misapaso Teha Talata Sukita Veruna Buddha Sasane Aroga Sukita Kota Sahat Sappe Iyatipi Sapa Buddha Nupavena Sapa Dhamma Nupavena Sapa Sangha Nupavena Satta Soti Bhavantu Te. So you may stretch your body and open your eyes when you feel comfortable. How was your meditation? I hope you enjoyed the experience. So, let's come back to the first teachings of the Buddha, which is so-called the master plan of all the Buddha's teachings. The word chakra, C-A-K, is actually means wheel, which is the same as chakra. It's just different between Pali and Sanskrit. So it either can mean vehicle or weapons that we use in order to eliminate defilements. And this is actually really the meaning of the chakra. After this teaching was given, it was actually after the 7 weeks after Buddha enlightenment that he actually making reflection that who should he have taught. After enlightenment, he knew that the Dhamma that he enlightened was very profound. So at first, Buddha think that no one on this planet would understand it. So he thought about not giving to us at all. But, luckily, he changed his mind. So he did compare humans to 4 levels of lotus. He said that there are 4 levels of the lotus. The first level is the lotus that already grew above the water and blossom. So this is the intelligent one who can understand easily. The second level of the lotus that's just at the surface of the water that would need a little guidance and it finally can blossom too. The third level, below the water surface, pretty hard but still some shot to grow above. And the last one is very close to the floor, to the ground, that's deeply under the water, that end up will be eaten by turtles and fishes. So he said that there are still some level of the lotus who are capable of understanding the Dharma, so he will explain it. And luckily, I hope that we are the one above the water, not underneath the water with a stone on top of it. And that then he used his vision to see who will be capable. The first two persons that he thought about was his former teachers. Because after Buddha left the palace, he spent spent time with two teachers who are the hermits or tapasa at the time, and he obtained the forms and formless absorptions, rupa rupajana. But then he knew that it was not the way to enlightenment, so he ventured on his own practice of self-mortification. So he thought of these two teachers, that they should be capable of understanding the Dharma. But sadly, he discovered through his vision that they already passed away, just the day that he thought about it. So then he looked at the other group of people, which is the first 5 disciples that he had at that time. The first 5 disciples are the ones that he actually practiced with. After the Buddha, before the Buddha enlightened, after he finished with the teaching of the two teachers, he spent time with self-mortification. At that time, he has 5 other ascetics staying with him, look after him, practice with them. But because the Buddha later on found that the self-mortification was not the right way to lead to enlightenment, so he stopped and he started to consume food, and that's why they left. And after he got some alone time, he ventured further on his discovery until on the night of enlightenment, he realized this is the right way. And that's when he pledged the vow that unless I discover the Dharma, I would not leave the seat even my body completely dried out. And that's why when he looked into the vision, these 5 people are the first one that will be capable of understanding the Dhamma that he wanted to explain. So he went to them. And that's why this teaching was given in the city called Varanasi. It's not technically in the city, it's close to the city, and it's in the game refuge, Isipatana, which is the forest that they sort of had a safe zone for all the animals. This is where they don't hunt deer, and that's why it's called game refuge. This is why the name Isipatana came about. So today in Varanasi, you can still visit the site where the Dhammika Stupa situated as a landmark. And of course, Tatrako Pakawa Panchavakiye is the Pali word that refers to the group of 5 monks, namely Gontanya, Patiya, Wappa, Asachi, Mahanama. These are the first 5 who listen to the teachings. The first one ended up become understanding and enlightened, and become the first monk in Buddhism. The story of this one is actually very interesting, because when Prince Siddhartha was born, his father was very happy that someone very special could walk after he was born, came to be his son. So his father invited 108 Brahmins, and from 108 select just 8. So these 8 Brahmins will make a prophecy about his son, Prince Siddhartha. Other 7 said either he's going to grow up become a great king or become enlightened as a Buddha. But Gontaya was the only one. At that time, he was the youngest of all Brahmin. And he was the one who came up with one finger that this boy has only one destiny. He destined to be enlightened as a Buddha. He will never be a king. And that's why the story goes that his father didn't want that and kept him to the palace enjoying his life. But after Gontaya made a prophecy, he realized that he would definitely have a chance to listen to this boy teaching later in the future. So he left and prepared himself. He went to the forest, started on the preparing, waiting for the boy to grow up and left the palace. And that's why he followed immediately right away. And the story also dated back from other lifetime when he saw other monks being praised as the first enlightened one. So he wanted to be that. And that's what his intention through our lifetime, to become the first enlightened one. So, the story goes that when the Buddha went to these 5 monks, because at first they looked down on the Buddha, because they thought the Buddha already slacked out on the practice, he went back to eat food. So they make a kind of agreement that we will not receive him, we will just leave him standing, we will not help him out. But when the Buddha arrived, they couldn't stop. They went out to take his bowl, prepare him the seat, give him water, just like a teachers. But still they said to him that, young monk, what are you doing here, kind of thing. But then the Buddha said a few times, listen to what I have said, what I have discovered. And after he said it 3 times, which is something that he never said to these 5 monks before, they started to listen. And the passage started from here, that there are 2 extreme ways that for the one who has gone forth should not be indulged. When the word the one who has gone forth, or papashita, papashite, papashita means the one who renounced the worldly life. So what meanings as ascetic is papashita? This one. In the other words, that bhikkhu also means the one who lives by alms, by food that is given or by things that is given. So these are 2 extreme ways that we will not to practice. The first one is also devoted to sensual pleasure. You have to think back in the context of 2,600 years ago that there are a variety of the practice. There are a variety of the practice because in those there were many hermits, Brahmins, different types of ascetics that do different types of practice. One of it is to indulge so much like you're bombarding yourself with senses in order to lure that moksha coming from your body. That's what they believed. And because Prince Siddhartha spent 29 years of that, he didn't find anything. So all sensual pleasure from sound, form, smell, taste, and touch, he couldn't discover the ending of the sufferings. In Pali terms, we divide it into 2 things. Samisa sukha, or pleasure of senses. Things that, enjoy good spaghettis and good opera. So those indulgent, those kind of attached to them will end up leading to sufferings and it doesn't lead to liberation. Of course, the niramisukha, which means the freedom or the freedom from sensual desire, which is something that will finally lead to the liberations. And that's why when we talk about happiness in Buddhism, we refer to from this level. Happiness must come from this one, the freedom from sensual desire. So, he explained that the indulgence in sensual pleasure is something that is low because it causes us to set up the home, family, grow up into attachment to a worldly life. Anariyo, which means ignoble. Ariya means noble or enlightened one. Anariyo, which means it doesn't lead to enlightenment. And the last one, anatasantiko, which means it's not profiting. So we're investing time in all this engagement of sensual pleasure. It doesn't produce any benefit. It just keeps us ongoing and ongoing. And that's why these are low practice. Then the other famous thing at the time, which being the self-mortification, in Pali is called attakilamatanuyoko, leads to suffering, tukko, sufferings. Anariyo, same as before, ignoble, and also unprofitable. So not only that it's painful, you waste your time being in pain, and that leads to anything proper. At that time, when the Buddha practiced some mortification, he tried many things, from holding his breath, pressing his tongue against the palate until he felt like the head almost exploded, until the last part, reduce the number of food consumption to almost starvation. The text explains as when he touched the belly, he can feel the spine. So you can see the image of the Buddha, very, very skinny type. So these 2 extreme paths doesn't really lead to enlightenment. And that's why the important passage is here, etete pikkave. Avoiding both extremes is the middle way, which is realized by the Buddha. The Buddha used these words like, this is what I have realized. Only through the middle way, there's a path of liberation. Without that, we cannot reach it. Through the middle path, it's producing insight and knowledge. Jakku. Jakku is actually translated as either insight or vision. The term insight that in Pali is vipassana. Pasana means to see, vi means great. So if you notice when you practice meditation before, the great master focus on the visualization, which is the method that will focus on enhancing the inner eyes, inner vision, so that not only that we realize the Dhamma, but we also be able to see the Dhamma as it is, to go through them one by one. When the Buddha used the middle path, that's what he also discovered, seeing that comes with knowledge. The jhana is the knowledge from seeing. And jhana, what are jhanas? Seeing that the changing conditions, the rise and falls of every existence, they are actually neither the jhana. So, then because of realization of how everything is impermanent, leads to calmness, leads to detachment, detachment leads to calmness, and that's why become awakened. Holding on to this is not the reality. And from that awakening leads to liberation, elimination of defilements completely. So, as a result, the Buddha said, that is what I realized. Tathagata means the Buddha, because it's producing insight, knowledge, and liberation. So precisely, the way of the middle path can extend into the Eightfold Path. The Eightfold Path is basically almost the important part of the practice or the teachings of the Buddha, because everything that the Buddha explained 45 years after this are basically the elaboration of this, elaboration of the Eightfold Path. Because through Eightfold Path, it finally leads to enlightenment. So basically what my master always trying to do is how we can put Eightfold Path in daily life. If we live the life that we at least want to have some spiritual growth, the key would be how that I put the Eightfold Path on the daily practice. How each day I develop the right view, the right intent, right speech, right action, so forth, and to the concentration. And eventually, if we can follow this through, we are growing spiritually. So that's precisely the Eightfold Path. And the middle path is the middle way. So it's sort of the chanting that repeated itself. And then the Buddha explained the Four Noble Truths, which is also the essence of Buddhism. In this part of the chanting, the sutras, the Buddha will explain there are Four Noble Truths, which is the sufferings. And all types of suffering will be explained here. The first one that you probably can call it normal sufferings, birth, aging, death, happens with everybody. Therefore, as we are able to end birth, we end aging and we end death. So aging, birth, and death are sufferings. The word sufferings or dukkha also has the meaning right translation in terms of not only that it means sufferings, it can also mean uneasy, uncomfortable, difficult, most importantly, unable to retain a state. When there are three marks of existence that most of the time we explain: impermanence, anicca, dukkha, sufferings, anatta, not self. These also can be translated in different ways. Anicca, of course, impermanent, nothing lasts forever. Dukkha, not only it means suffering, it means unable to remain the same, always changing. That's actually why everything ends up being sufferings, because it can't remain the same. We're always changing. We're getting old, we're getting sick. The temples, the cities, the world rise and fall. Nothing stays the same. Nothing remains constant. And because of that, it becomes not self, which means unable to be in control. Since it doesn't belong to us, we can control it. So this is the nature of things, nature of existence. Impermanence, always changing, beyond control. So that's the meaning of the word dukkha. But it also leads up to other words too. Soka, sorrow. Pariteva, lamentation. Tukha, pain. Tomanas, distress. And supayasa, despair. These explain in different feelings from losing the loved one, unable to release something that we're holding on to, become lamentations. Distress is when someone feels resentment, not getting promotions, not getting paid, not getting recognitions, compliment, pat on the shoulders. So, all the way to losing something material wealth, something that we hold on. And that's why the other two is actually the key point. Apihe isampiyo ko to go, piyehi pupiyo ko to go. Things that we have and lost, and not getting what we want, losing what we love, are the two causes of sufferings. And actually, that is why this part for me is a great reminder. Because if you look at life, we always have this. We all have this. We're getting sad, losing the loved one, clinging on to this but can't let go, not getting what we want, losing what we love, feeling resentful, despair. The whole nayat is just right here. And life is go through all that. Anytime we are born, regardless of how rich or poor, this is what we get. The moment that we realize that this is the nature of life is when we are able at least to be detached. Remember at the beginning they were talk about the sensual pleasure, form, touch, sound, smell, taste. Basically, it comes from five aggregate. Clinging on to them will end up leading to sufferings. We end up overdoing it. I don't mean you can't enjoy spaghetti or carbonara or opera. I don't mean that. But I mean attaching to them, expect to get all the time is unrealistic. So as long as we try to live our life unrealistically, it will end up being in suffering and pain. And that's why when the Buddha explained this, even though we are not at the enlightened level yet, it helps us to realize things come, things go, hold on to it, release to endless sufferings, enjoy while it lasts. So that's why the passage of the suffering is actually a good thing to be reminded of ourselves, that this is the condition that no matter who we are, we're going to face them eventually. So, and then the second part, he explained the noble truth has an origination. The origination of our sufferings come from tanha. And tanha is translated as desire. Tanha is translated as desire. The desire that continues to cause us to engage in karma. Karma creates retribution. Retribution creates rebirth. So as long as the drive is still there, there's a seed. And seed will continue to grow into trees and bear fruits. Fruits will continue to be new seed and keep on going and going and going. It can be rich, it can be richer. There's actually a story of in the Tipitaka one time, there was a king who ruled the whole world, the great king who ruled the whole world, until one day the king of second level heaven came down to see him. He wanted to see one of the great king and invite him to see that you want to see upstairs what it's like. So the king said, why not? Let's go up and see what it's like. So they both went up. So they both went up to see the first level of heaven. And then the second level king, the second heaven king asked this earth king, do you want to rule it too? You have enough capability. Say, okay, I will take it. And then let's visit my place on the second level. Then he showed the place. You like it? I can share half of it with you. Okay, I think I can take that too. You think that earth king will be content? No. He wanted more. He wanted, I think I want to rule the whole thing. And when he started to get very greedy, his body turned heavy and he fell down from it. Desire is endless. The Buddha explained it's like a pit that doesn't have a bottom. no matter how much we put in, it won't be filled. That's what desire is like. And that's why we end up feeling hungry for it. There are 3 types of desire. The first one is the craving for sensual pleasure. Anything that feels pleased to or touch, pleasure to see, pleasure to smell, pleasures to feel, to taste, to hear. Ciao Bella. The reason why. And of course, not only we are craving for more, we attach to them, it won't be filled. When we have this one, we want the other one, and endlessly. The other 2 is Bhava Tanha, Vibhava Tanha, which is the craving for becoming and non-becoming. This sounds a bit kind of textual, but in the other words, is to attain the state of Rupa Brahman and Arupa Brahman, the form Brahman and formless Brahman, which is the attainment of the absorptions. There are a lot of still practice to reach the higher level of spiritual practice, but it's still trapped. When the Buddha practiced with his first teacher, he already reached the state of Rupa Jhana, or Rupa, or form absorption. And if he passed away at that time, he will be here at the Rupa Bhava. In the second teacher, he attained formless absorption. So if he dies, he will come to in the arupa or formless bhava. But both of them still in the cycle of rebirth. As you can see, this is the whole thing would look like, 3 worlds. Our worlds, kama tanha, kama bhava, is here, right in the middle, around here. We have hell on the bottom, we have celestial realm a bit above. And weirdly enough, there are 456 hells and there are only 6 levels of heavens. And this is actually interesting because I always explain when people ask me about the law of karma, that law of karma is logical, which means that if you do good, you receive good consequences. If you do something bad, you receive bad consequences. Logical, but completely unfair. If it's fair, there should be more heaven. There are only 6, and there are 456 hells. There are actually one passage in the Tipitaka that Buddha one time asked, how many people die and go to fortunate realm compared to unfortunate realm? And the Buddha explained, people who go to fortunate realm can be compared to number of horns of a cow. And people who go to unfortunate realm can be compared with the hair of a cow. And in a cow, there are 2 horns and lots of hair. Which actually curious me because when I asked him, I was like, how come there are so many people go down to deep dark place? And this is what Luang Por Tata explained. To precisely quote his word, because he always straightforward, he said, when we do something bad, we are willing to die. When we do something good, our effort is as much as a monkey scratching his butt. Very little. For example, let's say I know this is someone's wife. She's beautiful. I still want to get her anyway. But I know if her husband finds out, I could die. Will I do it? Of course. When I do all the stuff, I know there's a risk to my life. I'm willing to do it. But when, let's say, will you come to meditate? You don't have to struggle that much. But still, many excuses. To do prayers, many excuses. To do generosity, €2. My point is that the size of karma depends on our effort, our intention. The stronger intention, the more the karma. And that is actually what happens most time. When we doing good things, how many of us are willing to go the same extent as we doing something negative? Let's say if I yell at somebody or give someone a compliment, if I weigh 2 of my intentions, which one is stronger? And that's why the amount of karma, karmic energy that we generated from different actions weigh differently. So Now that we understand, we know the cheat code. And the cheat code is every single time, as long as we are mindful, we can be more focused on the actions, intentions, and effort to do good deeds. So, and that's what it is. And that's why the Buddha explained on the third of the truth is Nirodha or Nirodho. It usually translates as cessation of sufferings. And for me, as Four Noble Truths explained, there's sufferings in life. The origin of suffering is desire. There is a cessation of sufferings. And the path to end suffering is the Eightfold Path. I have learned this ever since I was a kid in Thailand in school. Every teacher told me that, just exactly from the book. The only thing I kept asking myself all the time when I read this book, how come? The third one is there is a cessation of sufferings, and the path is here. The order didn't make sense. For me, when I was young, I was thinking that if the order makes sense, this is sufferings, this is the origin, the path to eliminate the sufferings will lead to cessation. It makes more sense. I got to do something to eliminate it. That makes more sense to me. And this is how I have read for a long time, and I don't get it up until I see my master. And the great master who I showed the photo, when he translated the word Nirodha or Nirodho, he actually translated this word as stop. And that's why this actually leads to the practice of meditation that we were just doing, because his teaching summarized to this one, to stop is the key to success. To be more precise, to stop the mind at 7 base will open the path. And this is actually interesting because in the sutra, when it comes to this point, the middle way is not just the lifestyle that not engage in sensual pleasure or self-modification, but it's also the middle path inside. In Pali, the word middle way comes from Majjhima Patipatha. Majjhima usually translates as middle. Patipatha usually translates as path. But Majjhima can also be translated as center. And Patipatha can also be translated as access. And this is a whole new world. For me, I read finally, when he told me this, because when the mind stopped, the path opened. That's why number 3 in the Noble Truth is there is a cessation or stopping of sufferings, but the mind must be stopped. Stop from what? At least stop from engagement, stop from interaction. So that's why whenever we meditate, it's sort of engaging. It's about detachment, leaving it there, allow the stillness to finally formulate, and that stillness will finally open the path. So, and that's what I got from my great master. And of course, the Buddha see to this point, and then the noble way to practice linked to the stopping suffering is precisely the Eightfold Path. When the mind stops, that path will open. And then down to all the way to the right concentrations, rounds and rounds. In the Theravada traditions, in order to practice the Eightfold Path in life, we divide them into 3 things: Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. Samadhi means concentration, Panya means wisdom, Sila means precepts. So, the right speech, of course, comes from holding precepts. No killing, no stealing, no committing sexual misconduct, or telling lies or spilling speech, and no consumption of intoxicant. This is Sila. The right concentrations, of course, from having an effort to be mindful until developing the concentration. The right intentions, the right view come from having wisdom. So, which is the clearer the mind, the more wisdom that we got. Lompa Datta, the dear brother of Lama Kangchen, he summarized it into 3 words: discipline, patience, respect. So instead of remember it as Sila, Samadhi, Panya, discipline, patience, respect. Because how can we develop concentration? How can we have right effort and mindfulness and concentration? Being patient. And how do we open our mind to have the better view, better resolve, better intent? Respect. The word respect, as the Buddha explained, is not just to do this. This is an action of showing respect. I can do this to everybody, doesn't mean I respect them. Respect means open our heart, our mind to see good things in other people, places, objects, and situations, so we can absorb that goodness into ourselves. That's the meaning of respect. And because of that type of respect, it's open the view, it's open the intent, because we see the good example out there. So that's how we design the training in the temple based on 3 concepts: discipline, patience, respect. How to do that? Not self-modification, not intense. Do it mindfully and at ease. That's the key point for the practice that my master always explained. To keep this practice, of course, being disciplined, but doesn't mean being uptight. I don't know about what happened around you, but in my temple there are some monks who, you can't do this, you can't do that, so get me serious about it. At the same time, Luang Por, my master, always chill, super chill. But they are very disciplined. Their life is like clockwork. How can they still maintain discipline? Whatever come at them, smile, take it easy. So, and when the practice of the Eightfold Path was done, it will be cycle of cycle of cycle. The right view will develop the right intent or right resolve, which help us to formulate better speech, action, or livelihood. When we put more effort, it leads to more mindfulness, more concentration. When the mind becomes concentrated, it becomes clear. The clarity helps us to understand the view better. So that leads to better resolve, better speech, cycle after cycle after cycle. The right view, as explained in Theravada, begins with 2 things: the good friends and so-called analytical thinking. In the other words, having good message and being able to at least contemplate it. And that's why it is important to have good teacher. Buddha actually said, Kalyana Mitra, true friends, is everything in the cycle of rebirth. To have true friends, to have good friends, to always be guiding you, taking care of you, showing you the way is truly important. Before the Buddha enlightened, the last lifetime, the one before enlightened, he's supposed to have been cultivated so long, right? Imagine how many lifetimes. So in that lifetime, he was born as a man in a very good family. He had a friend, poor, from the lower class. In that lifetime, there was another Buddha. His friend went to that Buddha and felt very happy to hear the teachings. So came to Buddha in that lifetime. Our Gautama Buddha said, you should come to listen to him. No. I would think that he, after lifetimes of practice, would enjoy going to the Buddha right away. No, he didn't. His friends still nagging him, let him take a shower, tell him again, and eventually to the point, pulling his hair knot. Come on. And that got him to think, my friend came from lower class. He would never have done that to me. This must be serious. And that's why he agreed to follow him, to listen to the Buddha. Imagine that he is already in the final life before enlightenment. He still had to be dragged by his friend to the Buddha. And if you remember the story of the Buddha, after he left the palace and received the first set of robe from one of the Brahman, Katikara is his friend in the lifetime. His friend couldn't ordain because he had to look after his family, but he still continued to practice and attain jhana, or absorptions, and be born in the Brahman realm. And when he knew his friend will be born to enlighten, he waited. And then when he made the decision, he came down. This is your robe. I've been waiting. That's how important true friend is. So you're lucky. You're lucky. And then that's why it leads to right concentration. Right concentration is the driving force, because the clearer your mind is, the better realization, the better the understanding cycle. So these two together, true friends and mental clarity, you find it slowly developing further and further. And this is actually, afterward, it leads to the latter part of the passage. Then the Buddha explained, because of it, I attained insight, knowledge, awakening, until this part in the sutra, which is actually very important. Whatever subjects to origination is all subject to cessation, which means anything that has beginning has the end. I don't understand it. But you know what? This very passage, in Theravada traditions, the Buddha has two main disciples, Sariputta, who excel in wisdom, Moggallana, who excel in special power. Both of them came from a very good family, ordained in one type of ascetic. And they wanted to find the truth, but they couldn't. So they make agreement to each other. We will go separate way. And then when we come back, if anybody found the way, we will share to the other one. Sariputta went out and found one of these five monks who already enlightened. He said, wow, this one looks special. I want to ask him, what did he discover? And the five monks' name is Asachi. So instead of telling everything about the Dharma, he only said, I have just ordained. I don't know much. My teacher only said this to me. Everything has the subjects to origination, is all subject to cessation. At the end of the passage, Sariputta attained enlightenment, stream enterer. I have been reading this for so long, still here. To make the point even worse, he went to his friend. Hey, look what I've heard. He told the same passage to his friend. His friend attained stream enterer too. And we're still here. But this is actually the very important part, because when it talks about realization of the Dharma, realize what is the beginning and how it ends. That's the realization path. Realize what are the origin of this. How are we here? How are we having defilements? Where did these defilements come from? What are the origin? Through the attainments of visions to attainments of knowledge, we can trace back and unlock them. And that leads to the end of cessations. And that's, of course, because of that, it become calling all the way to the top level, until finally, Gontanya, the first one who realized it. And the Buddha said, Gontanya, you really know? He answered, yes, I know. And that's why his name was Anya. Anya means the one who knows. Anya Gontanya. After the end of these sutras, the first enlightened one come about, after the Buddha. And then he seek ordination from the Buddha to become a monk. And this is the day that the Tripitaka was completed. The Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha, starting from this day. But how hard it is to put in perspective. After the whole sutra was given, only Gontanya, the only one out of 5, attained stream enterer. Only one. The next day, the Buddha came again, talk about the same sutra. The second one attained stream enterer. Which means the last one had to listen to the Buddha 5 times. The last one has to listen to 5 times, same thing, to get the same enlightenment, to get the same realization. 5 times. Still not fully enlightened. Because that's how hard it is to hold on to something. Because during the time when there were the 5 disciples of the Buddha, during the time of self-mortification, like you will follow Lama Gangchen, you follow his practice, his method, his discipline, you will do it. Of course, when your master practicing, you will not just lying down and do nothing. So the 5 disciples did the same thing. When Siddhartha, Gautama, doing self-mortification, they did it too. And that's why they hold on not to the wrong essence of selves, which still kama tanha, the desire to become rupa tanha, and bhava tanha, vibhava tanha, the desire to become and not becoming. Still hold on to that. And that's even after 5 times, they still couldn't let go. So then 3 days after, the Buddha had to come and give another lecture to them, which is Anatta Lakkhana Sutra. What is the characteristic of anatta or not self? In order to tell them what you're holding on is not true self, let go. And then afterward, the 5 of them can attain fully enlightened, become an arahant. The whole origin of this will come back to realizing that the nature of the truth is from desire. And in order to keeping the mind stopped, we need to input the right Eightfold Path into our life. View, resolve, speech, action, livelihood, effort, mindfulness, concentration. As I have broken it down from Luang Por Thatta, discipline, patience, and respect. Round and round, lifetime after lifetime. There was a passage, Buddha said, this whole cycle of rebirth is like a prison. All of us is a prisoner locked up in here. When we die, we could go to a good place, fortunate place, and we'll come back here. And again, and again, and again. Who was the Buddha? He was like us, former inmate in the prison just like us. But he found a way, he found a hole. And he told us, hey, this way, come on. Some listen and follow, they already left. The stubborn around here. At least he left a map. And the map that he left, he also said, I can only leave you a map. I cannot guarantee you make it out. It's all up to you. And that's why the word sattha or faith in Buddhism. Buddha explained there are 4 types of faith. Number 1, faith that action matters or karma matters. 2, faith that karma's actions always leads to consequences. 3, faith that everyone is subject to their own karma. And 4, through our cultivated karma, we can reach enlightenment. This is the 4th faith when the Buddha talk about, which means having faith in your own endeavor. I don't think we have enough time for the chanting because it's 17 minutes.
It's 17.
17.
It's not. If you like, whoever, then someone needs to go.
How about that? Like that. So,
If you would.
I do. So this is what I wanted to share with you for the first teaching so that we can have more appreciation when we do the chanting together. So the chanting I will play, it will last for 17 minutes. There was a kind of videos and subtitle, but of course I understand if you have the limitation of time, feel free to leave and all, it's fine. I wouldn't feel bad about it. So, if you stay, let's do this together.
Yes.
เอวเมสุตังเอกังสมยังภะคะวาภาราณสิยังวิหารติอิสิปตเนมิคทาเยตตระโคภะคะวาปัญจวัคคีย์เยภิกขุอามันเตสิทเวเมภิกขเวอันตาปาปชิเตนะนะเสวิตาภายโยจายังกาเมสุกามสุขันลิกานุโยโกหิโนคาโมโปตุจนิโกอนาริโยอนาถสันญิโตโยจายังอาตกิลมัฏฐานุโยโกทุกโกอนาริโยอนาถสันญิโตเอเตเตภิกขเวอุปโปอันเตอนุปกัมมมัชฌิมาปฏิปทาตถาคเตนะอภิสัมพุทธาจักขุกรณีญาณกรณีอุปสัมมายะอภิญายะสัมพุทธายะนิพพานายะสังวาตติกตมาจะสาภิกขเวมัชฌิมาปฏิปทาตถาคเตนะอภิสัมพุทธาจักขุกรณีญาณกรณีอุปสัมมายะอภิญญายะสัมพุทธายะนิพพานายะสังวาตติยเมวะอริโยอาตังคิโกมัคโคไสยทิตังสัมมาทิฏฐิสัมมาสังกัปโปสัมมาวาจาสัมมากัมมันโตสัมมาอาชีโวสัมมาวายาโมสัมมาสติสัมมาสมาธิอายังโคสาภิกขเวมัชฌิมาปฏิปทาตถาคเตนะอภิสัมพุทธาจักขุกรณีญาณกรณีอุปสัมมายะอภิญญายะสัมโพธายะนิพพานายะสังวัตติอิทังโคปานาภิกขเวทุกขังอริยสัจจังชาติปิทุกขาชราปิทุกขามรณะปิทุกขังโสกปริเทวทุกขโทมนัสสุปายาสาปิทุกขาอาปิเยหิสัมปโยโคตุโคปิเยหิวิปโยโคตุโคยัมปิจังนาลปฏิตัมปิทุกขังสังกิเตนะปัญจุปาทานาขันธาทุกขาอิทังโคปานาภิกขเวทุกขสมุทัยโยอริยสัจจังยายังปัญหาโปโนภวิกานันทิราคสหคตาตาตราพินันทินิสัยยทิทังกามตัณหาภวตัณหาวิภวตัณหาอิทังโคปานาภิกขเวทุกขนิโรธอริยสัจจังโยตัสสาเยวตัณหายะเสสวิราคนิโรธจากโคปฏินิสสกโคโมติอนาลโยอิทังโคปานาภิกขเวทุกขนิโรธกามินีปฏิปทาอริยสัจจังอายเมวะอริโยกัตถังคิโกมัคโคไสยทิทังสัมมาทิฏฐิสัมมาสังกัปโปสัมมาวาจาสัมมากัมมันโต
สัมมาอาชีโวสัมมาวายาโมสัมมาสติสัมมาสมาธิ
อิทังทุกขัง
อริยสัจจันติเมภิกขเวปุเพอนันนุสุเตสุธัมเมสุจักขุงอุทปปาทิญาณังอุทปปาทิปัญญาอุทปปาทิวิชชาอุทปปาทิอาโลโกอุทปปาทิตังโคปนิตังทุกขังอริยสัจจังปริญญายันติเมภิกขเวปุเพอนันโนสุเตสุธัมเมสุจักขุงอุทปปาทิญาณังอุทปปาทิปัญญาอุทปปาทิวิชชาอุทปปาทิอาโลโกอุทปปาทิตังโคปนิตังทุกขังอริยสัจจังปริญญาปันติเมภิกขเวปุเพอนันโนสุเตสุธัมเมสุจักขุงอุทปปาทิญาณังอุทปปาทิปัญญาอุทปปาทิวิชชาอุทปปาทิอาโลโกอุทปปาทิอิทังโคยุตโยอริยสัจจันติเมภิกขเวปุเพอนันโนสุเตสุธัมเมสุจักขุงอุทปปาทิญาณังอุทปปาทิปัญญาอุทปปาทิวิชชาอุทปปาทิอาโลโกอุทปปาทิตังโคปนิตังทุกขสมุทัยโยอริยสัจจังปหาตาปันติเมภิกขเวปุเพอนันโนสุเตสุธัมเมสุจักขุงอุทปปาทิญาณังอุทปปาทิปัญญาอุทปปาทิวิชชาอุทปปาทิอาโลโกอุทปปาทิตังโคปนิตังทุกขสมุทัยโยอริยสัจจังปะหินันติเมภิกขเวปุเพอนันโนสุเตสุธัมเมสุจักขุอุทปปาทิญาณังอุทปปาทิปัญญาอุทปปาทิวิชชาอุทปปาทิอาโลโกอุทปปาทิอิทังทุกขสมุทัยอริยสัจจันติเมภิกขเวปุเพอนันโนสุเตสุธัมเมสุจักขุงอุทปปาทิญาณังอุทปปาทิปัญญาอุทปปาทิวิชชาอุทปปาทิอาโลโกอุทปปาทิตังโคปนิตังทุกขนิโรธอริยสัจจังสัจจิกาตาปันติเมภิกขเวปุเพอนันโนสุเตสุธัมเมสุจักขุงอุทปปาทิญาณังอุทปปาทิปัญญาอุทปปาทิวิชชาอุทปปาทิอาโลโกอุทปปาทิตังโคปนิตังทุกขานิโรธอริยสัจจังสัจจิกตันติเมภิกขเวปุเพอนันโนสุเตสุธัมเมสุจักขุอุทปปาทิญาณังอุทปปาทิปัญญาอุทปปาทิวิชชาอุทปปาทิอาโลโกอุทปปาทิอิทังทุกขนิโรธกามินีปฏิปทาอริยสัจจันติเมภิกขเวปุเพอนันโนสุเตสุธัมเมสุจักขุงอุทปปาทิญาณังอุทปปาทิปัญญาอุทปปาทิวิชชาอุทปปาทิอาโลโกอุทปปาทิตังโคปนิตังทุกขนิโรธคามินีปฏิป ทาอริยสัจจังภาเวตาพันติเมภิกขเวปุเพอนันโนสุเตสุธรรมเมสุจักขุงอุทธปาทิญาณังอุทธปาทิปัญญาอุทธปาทิวิชชาอุทธปาทิอาโลโกอุทธปาทิตังโกปนิตังทุกขานิโรธคามินีปฏิปทาอริยสัจจังภาวิตันติเมภิกขเวปุเพอนันโนสุเตสุธรรมเมสุจักขุงอุทธปาทิญาณังอุทธปาทิปัญญาอุทธปาทิวิชชาอุทธปาทิอาโลโกอุทธปาทิยาวกีวันจะเมภิกขเวอิเมสุจตุสุอริยสัจเจสุเอวันติปริวัตตังทวาทสาการังยถาภูตังญาณทัสสนังนสุวิสุทธังอโหสิเนวตาวาหังภิกขเวสเทวเกโลเกสมาระเกสพรัมมเกสาสมณพรหมนิยาปัจจายสเทวมนุสายานุตรังสัมมาสัมโพธิงอภิสัมพุทโธปัจจัญญาสิงยโตจักโขเมภิกขเวอิเมสุจตุสุอริยสัจเจสุเอวันติปริวัตตังทวาทสาการังยถาภูตังญาณทัสสนังสุวิสุทธังอโหสิอัฏฐาหังภิกขเวสเทวเกโลเกสมาระเกสพรัมมเกสาสมณพรหมนิยาปัจจายสเทวมนุสายานุตรังสัมมาสัมโพธิอภิสัมพุทโธปัจจัญญาสิงญาณัญจปนเมธาสนังอุทธปาทิอาโกปาเมวิมุตติอายมันติมาชาตินาติธานิปุนาภโวติธรรมโวจะภควาอาตมนาปัญจวัคคียาภิกขุภควโตภาสิตังอภินันทุงอิภัสมิงจะปนวัยยาการณัสมิงพันยมะเนอายาสมโตโกนทัญญาสวิราชาวีตมลังธรรมจักขุงอุทธปาทิยังกินจิสมุทัยธรรมันสัพพันตังนิโรธธรรมันติปวัตติเตจะภควตาธรรมจักเกภุมมาเทวาสัตมนุสสาเวสุเอตัมภควตาภาราณสิยังอิสิปตเนมิกตายอนุตรังธรรมจักกังปวัตติตังอปฏิวัติยังสมเนนะวาพรัมมเนนะวาเทเวนะวามาเรนะวาพรัมมุนาวาเกนะจิวาโลกัสมินทิ
ภูมานัง
เทวานังสัตตังสุตวาจาตุมหาราชิกาเทวาสัตมโนสาเวสุงจาตุมหาราชิกานังเทวานังสัตตังสุตวาทาวติงสาเทวาสัตมโนสาเวสุงทาวติงสานังเทวานังสัตตังสุตวายามาเทวาสัตมโนสาเวสุงยามานังเทวานัง สัทธังสุตวะตุสิตาเทวาสัตตมนุสาเวสุงตุสิตานังเทวานังสัทธังสุตวะนิมมานรติเทวาสัตตมนุสาเวสุงนิมมานรตินังเทวานังสัทธังสุตวะปรนิมมิตวสวัตติเทวาสัตตมนุสาเวสุงปรนิมมิตวสวัตตินังเทวานังสัทธังสุตวะพระมกายิกาเทวาสัตตมนุสาเวสุงเอตัมภะคะวตาภาราณสียะอิสิปตะเนมิกตาเยอนุตตรังธรรมจักกังปวัตติตังอาปติวัตติยังสมณเณนวาพระมเณนวาเทเวนวามาเรนวาพระมุนาวาเกณจิวาโลกัสมินติ
อิติหะเตนะ
นะคะเนนะเตนะโมโหเตนะยาวะพระมโลกาสัตโตอาปุกาจิอายัญจตัสสะหัสสีโลกตาตุสังกัมปิสัมปะกัมปิสัมภเวทิอาปมาโนจะโอลาโลโอปาโสโลเกปาตุระโหสิหติกัมเมวะเทวานังเทวานุภาวังอัตโคปะคะวาอุทานังอุทาเนสิอัญญาสิวัตปุโกนทันโยอัญญาสิวัตปุโกนทันโยติติทังอายสมะโตโกนทัญญาสะอัญญาโกนทัญโยตเววนามังอาโหสิติ Thank you.